Good morning, everyone. Vincent Briatore here. Let me click on that. Trying something a little different this time, doing light only from one side. It's a little bit more mysterious. So the other day, I got this. I got this comment that I wanted to address. Okay, so this comment was on my other video because I started this other channel where I talk about like a variety of things. I'll link to this piece I did about the pink tax and the gender gap. And let's see here, where is it? Jonna Terrian Meyer says, gone vegan, gone feminist. I suppose this is the natural progression of a self-proclaimed futurist. Sad. Whoa. Listen, I'm not a feminist, okay? See, that's the thing. I don't know how to explain this. How can I say this? I'm not a feminist. However, acknowledging something that's unfair doesn't make you a feminist. I don't even like that word, honestly. I prefer, I believe in equality, and I don't like a lot of these polarizing advantages that we're giving women in the sense that now it's okay to discriminate against men. For example, all this affirmative action and tax breaks that you get with hiring a woman. But anyway, we'll get into that. But as far as the gender gap situation, I believe this is true. I know the statistics is a little skewed. However, it's true. But I think that the reasons because of this is because we put a lot more societal pressure on men in earning money. Centuries it's been that way because we got to take care of a family. So men tend to be tougher negotiators. They tend to overestimate what they're worth. Okay, and this has created kind of this social construct in the hiring. So I believe that talking about this is the right solution. I don't believe the government intervention is. Same with the pink tax. I looked at it and I'm like, okay, it seems that it's undeniable that some products for women cost more than men. And I think that consumer awareness is also the solution. Trying to act like women are dumb and they can't make up their mind, they can't be thrifty, that's silly. But an educated consumer, like, we don't have to have that knee-jerk reaction of saying, oh, it's not true, it's made up. I understand anytime this stuff is brought up, I always feel attacked. And I don't like that because I never catcall women. I've never discriminated against anybody. I've never raped anybody. However, I'm always made to feel like it's my fault that there's these situations in our society. And so I try to address them with an open mind instead of just saying, oh, no, it's all made up. And I think that's something that we have to get to, is to be able to have this dialogue. I don't know, there's a lot of misconceptions. And I think a lot of the statistics and a lot of the media is constantly trying to divide us. And I don't like that. It's not a men versus women, but it feels that way in society today. And I think that's what creates a lot of issues. I think a new study came out recently that was in the New York Times. And I was reading that. This morning I was reading, and it said, new study shows men, women are safer drivers than men. I was like, well, okay, I figured that because I was like, car insurance for women is cheaper, But then I was thinking about it, and I read the article, and it was just so polarizing, and it gave numbers. Apparently men actually drive 63% of the miles overall. So men drive a lot more and get into more accidents, right? And their conclusion was, men are bad drivers, pretty much. They're too aggressive, whatever. But then I decided to crunch the numbers and do it by mileage, okay, since men drive more. And guess what? It comes out to men have an accident on average 286,000 miles, but women have an accident every 240,000 miles. So actually, on average, women have have accidents a little bit more often than men. I don't think that statistical anomaly is enough to even really address it. Okay, everybody has accidents. Okay, so women have cheaper car insurance because they tend to drive less. Men have most of the accidents, but we drive, most of the miles. Anyway, I was looking at that, and then there was another article talking about women fail the driving test much more often than men. I don't know what exactly the statistic was, but the article came to a conclusion that it was because women, it's discriminating against women, and women need special accommodations to take the test. And I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? What point are we getting to that everything has to be an issue where there's discrimination? And it's like, it's a driving test. It's a driving test. Now, I know, like, my sister, when she was young, they bought her, like, a little car thing, and she had a hard time driving this little thing. It's like a little electric car, where you have the pedals. Then she had a little kid, a friend come over who's the same age, like 1, 2 years old. This kid jumped in, started driving immediately, had never driven one before. It's like intuitive. And I think that that's how sometimes the male brain works. We're more apt at this kind of stuff. That's why men love cars so much. Okay, it's just an aptitude thing, and it may be marginally a tiny bit, a little bit more than men take to such things, and that's why it reflects that way. I do believe that women tend to be safer overall and take less chances and are less aggressive, and this reflects in them demanding or not demanding as much pay sometimes, or not having as many accidents related to aggressive driving. I don't know. Like I said, I don't get too emotional over this stuff. I think there's explanations for everything. I just hate that someone has to, accuse me of being feminist or something just because I'm not overly aggressive. Like I said, we need to have a conversation. There's nothing wrong with having this conversation and talking about these issues and not getting too upset, because as soon as you get upset, the conversation is over. There's a lot of things that I don't like. I don't like that women, on average, get way less time judicially for the same crime. I don't like that. And that's why I wouldn't consider myself a feminist, because feminists never address those issues. They never address prostate cancer. They never address men's suicide rate. They never address those things. They're only addressing the women's issue, and they never address the advantages, that women have in certain fields, in certain aspects. Do I think it's easier to be a woman? I think it's easier to be a woman today than it was in the 50s, for sure. And I think that it's hard for me to say because I've never been a woman, okay? But I think that there is specific societal pressures and difficulties. It's not easier to be one sex or the other. However, I feel like women's issues are taken much more seriously. Violence against women is penalized much more than violence against a man. There's all kind of advantages and incentives to hiring women. But the disparity is overtaking, to me, to an extent, to where we're penalizing men too much. We're discriminating against men too much. Our issues are not being addressed. It's also the court system and child rearing, with courts, with family court discriminates against men in an insane way when it comes to that sort of thing. So I think we should take a step back, because there's always going to end up the point where men are not going to take it anymore. It's going to be some backlash. So I think that men should be more active in getting in groups and raising awareness for our stuff without attacking women, okay? I feel like you can exalt issues of one gender without putting the other gender down, without saying it's easier to be a woman or it's easier to be a man or it's a man's world. It just doesn't make sense. I think that if we want equality, we need to start raising our children in the same way, which we're not now. I feel like I said, men were raised to be more aggressive, to have a higher pain tolerance, and there was another study, the pain tolerance study. A long time women always say they have a higher pain tolerance, Well, 5 different studies have come out in the past 10 years that actually say the opposite. And I think this is mostly because of a social thing. Men just rough it out. Men are tougher. Men go to the doctor less. We take less painkillers, and all this stuff is because the world has required us to be this way. We're raised this way since childhood. And that's why we see this disparity. There's no plot to keep women down. We don't get together and say, you know what, we're going to keep the woman down. We're not going to let her have this. No. Businesses, when I was doing the hiring, I hired the best person for the job. I want to make money. That's the end game. Let's talk about discrimination against poor people. La Madonna. Now we're talking. Credit card rates, mortgages are always higher when you can't afford them or when you don't have a lot of money. Banks take advantage of poor people with these fees, like the non-sufficient fund fees, all kinds of fees. When you go to private banking, none of that. No, you don't have any of those issues. And there's tons of things that affect, the lower class, if you're poor. And those are huge issues that we should be addressing. But nobody wants to talk about that as well. And that applies even to car insurance. If you don't make a lot of money, your car insurance will be higher. It's just ridiculous stuff like that, which maybe makes sense from an economical standpoint, from a statistical standpoint, but doesn't from a social. So there we should implement laws, in my opinion, that don't allow people that don't have money to always get screwed over. You should be treating people equally, not based on their income. Even if, to a certain extent it makes sense, That's just my opinion. Just my opinion. So I think that we need to come together a little bit more on these issues, okay? I think I had another question. Oh, by the way, Ontology up 30% today. You're welcome. Ontology, VeChain. These I think are going to be doing very well. I was going to make another video talking about Consensus 2018, which usually the speakers, the projects that are featured during Consensus usually do extremely well. And this year, it's VeChain, Ontology, a couple other ones. I'll do a video talking about those. I think those definitely you should take a second look and put them in the portfolio. Oh, Stellar Lumen. I don't know if I added Stellar Lumen in my top picks for next month, but it definitely should be there. And I've talked about it a few different times with Stripe, the payment processor actually being a seed funder. It gave seed funding, I'm getting tongue-tied, to Stellar Lumen. So I think that's a big thing. And actually, they're talking about maybe accepting Stellar Lumens in the future. That's huge. That's huge. So I definitely going to want to watch that Consensus 2018. Anyway, so Ontology did really well. The other question, that's what I was going to do. Okay, let's see what we got here. Keyboard SS. Could Rev Token hit a... I don't know at this point if these people are being sarcastic or not. Like, if this is a joke or not. Listen, Rev Token, what do you want from me? You know the story. I don't know. Should I take down the old Rev Token videos? No, I think Rev Token could hit $100, yes, but I don't think it should be one of your picks at this point. I wouldn't advise you to getting into it. And I know that if I take down old videos, people are going to freak out. They're going to be like, oh, Vincent took down the old Rev Token videos. Something's going on, So, oh, by the way, again, every single day, I get multiple emails from people asking me if it's actually me on Telegram. Apparently, somebody on Telegram, and this has happened on Twitter, it's happened everywhere, is created an account in my name with my picture and is contacting people trying to solicit sponsored content for them to pay them or all kind of other things. Please, let me tell you, do not send me money. I'm not soliciting. I never solicit anyone. Okay, if I enter into some sort of partnership or deal, it's because someone has reached out to me and I like what they're saying and I try to be transparent about it. However, I never solicit. I don't send out emails to random projects and stuff. So if someone contacts you and acts like me, that is a very good sign that it's probably not me. Best way to know is you ask for a phone call. If it's important enough for me to contact you, then we can get on a Skype call or contact me through my website, through the contact form. That would be another good way. Or through like Instagram or something official. Although, like I said, on Instagram, Facebook, and social media, Twitter, I get flooded with so many messages, it's hard for me to reply. Best way, I think, is through vincentbriatore.net on the contact form. Because I actually try to read through all of those and reply. I think that's all I have for today, guys. I don't want to really harp too much on this type of gender stuff. I think that, I have a sister, who's 21. No, 20. She's 21? No, I think she's 21 now. She just turned 21. So, I want the world to be better for my sister. I want the world to be better for everybody. And I want there to be equality. And I sometimes find it puzzling that we always hear this narrative of it's men's fault for all the issues in the world. Like somehow we were two different tribes and the man, we invaded the woman's tribe and then took over. And it's just very frustrating because it alienates us and it feels like there can't be a dialogue. So you guys keep that in mind. What do you guys think about this driver stuff? I feel like when people have specific conclusions that they want to reach, they always twist statistics to make it reach that conclusion. Like, oh, men have so many more accidents than women. Oh, let's just write an article on the New York Times saying that men are worse drivers. Even though when you break it down by mileage, men have fewer accidents by miles. We drive most of those miles, So, it's very frustrating. If you don't know, and that's what it is also with politics. That's why it's very important to watch different sides of the story on the news, I feel like. Because if you don't, you're just giving the same narrative, the same statistics tweaked and twisted to show one thing. And I'm telling you, that's why if you watch conservative media, you think, oh, the pay gap is all made up. This all made up. And it's like, come on. We know there is. I don't think maybe it's as large as people say, but there is. And there's reasons for it. And there's things we can do to educate and to help that people get paid fairly. So it's not this systematic. Okay, there's no reason to get too emotional about it and attack people. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I thought I would just do a light-hearted video today. Make sure you check out the video that I made on the pink tax and kind of let me know what you think. I always open discussions. So if you say something, Just nothing anymore about Rift Token, please. I can't take it anymore. What do you guys think about the lighting? Should I just do the dual lighting? I don't know. Today I was just being lazy. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. As always, buy red and sell green.